When I was thinking back to my socialization, and I'm not just referring to my parents here, I'm referring to everyone who influenced me, I realized that I was brought down more than I was built up. So when I was working on my new book, Snob, the Modern Spiritual Playbook for a Better Life, I turned my thought into a concept. The word downbringing comes from upbringing, of course. The reason I call my socialization a downbringing is because of the stuff that I was taught to believe about the world and my role in it. The things I was told were common beliefs that made up much of the cultural landscape. I was raised in Kentucky, by the way, so if you can relate to what I'm saying, please let me know. Some of the things that really brought me down were connected to the lies that were pitched to me as the absolute truth. First, I was led to believe that I would be brutally punished by God for wrongdoing, and that brutal punishment was being thrown into a lake of fire in the afterlife to burn for an eternity. Okay, that bullshit scared me to death, and it interfered with my actions. So I was also taught to believe that men were not faithful and that women would pay a price if they cared about a man. Being treated like absolute garbage by men was something I expected to happen, and it did. God. So in each relationship I entered into with a guy, I was fearful of what would happen and automatically would expect defeat. Public humiliation was a significant piece of my socialization, and I won't point any fingers right now, but the public humiliation caused a lot of trauma and drama, and in my case, it made me very insecure. It also made me afraid to speak up when I wanted to because I was fearful of being humiliated again. And my voice has always been a gift, and how dare someone try and silence that? Don't ever let anyone silence you. And I was taught to worry and to react. And what I mean by this is when something bad happened, I thought I had to fall to pieces. Does that make sense? Like sometimes I would lash out with anger, and I wasn't even really angry. I just acted like I was because I thought I was supposed to be angry or whatever, because that's what I witnessed from everybody around me. So worrying was like a way of life. And I had so many people say to me when I was growing up, well, aren't you worried about that? Well, I'd be worried to death. Well, we're warriors and all that shit. And everything was approached through, again, an expectation of defeat. And when you expect something bad to happen, you live in the future and you worry. Now I know that worrying is the same thing as praying for what you don't want. It's actually really dangerous to worry. And I mean, no wonder I attracted horrible people, places, and things for so long. God almighty. Another characteristic of downbringing is conforming. I was conditioned to conform, and that involved doing things I didn't want to do all the time, which led to people pleasing. I took jobs that I hated because I was conditioned to think I could only make money one way, and I would never make as much money as men anyway, so might as well just take this job I hate. So I can talk about this all day, but I want to point out one last thing. I was taught to believe that I was a victim of chance. The power was taken out of the hands of the individual because I was raised to believe that this white man sitting in the sky was in complete control of my life, and there was no need for me to ask questions because everything had been basically decided for me. Well, God is absolutely in control, without a doubt, no dispute here. But God is in control because God is my source, and that is who gave me my free will. And my socialization took my free will, and when we give up our free will, well, that's when we make a mess of things. I am an infinite choice maker, and God gave me that gift, and God gave you that gift. Through my choices, I create my physical reality. Me. I create it. So, I would love to know your take on my theory about downbringing. For those of you who identify with this type of socialization, I would love to hear your stories. Drop all the comments you want below, and I will get to them one by one.